What is up, everybody? Welcome back to Josh's Hoarder Corner. I got a fun one for you today, a little history lesson and a little show and tell. So, as it is well documented, well known, I am a huge Stephen King fan, and this last week I was actually at Half Price Books and I saw a book in there that I had never seen before, right? So I did some digging on it. It was $100 at the store, and I was like, I'm not spending that on it. I found a copy of it on eBay that came in a bundle, and I placed a bid, and I won it. Now, there is a slight difference between the one I found on eBay and the one that was in the store. We'll get to that. But it was $30 for the bundle versus $100 and a slight difference for the one in the store. So first, let's kind of talk about the history of Stephen King's Cycle of the Werewolf, because there are a few different cover versions out there that have kind of popped up along the way. So the very first edition of it is this one here. This is one of my most prized possessions. This is Cycle of the Werewolf. It is a first edition. You see that crazy orange to yellow look on the cover there. This was released in 1983. The artist, Bernie Wrightstein, was the person who did all the art for it. If I open it up here, Cycle of the Werewolf is copyrighted in 1983 by the Land of Enchantment. Texas copyright 1983 by Stephen King. Goes into the copyrights of Bernie. Now, you'll notice this isn't a special cover. It comes right off, so if I would ever need to part with this, it's just keeping it safe. I obtained this a year or so ago in a little trade buy with somebody that I found in a Facebook group, and I had never seen one of these in person, so I had to have it. Now, on top of that, another one that they had that I had never seen in person, and this is where it gets kind of show and telly, is My Pretty Pony. My Pretty Pony was a very, very limited release, and this has some damage to it. It is not in perfect shape, but with the way that this release was handled, there aren't a lot of copies out there. It is part of one of his short story collections as well. I don't exactly remember which book, to be honest with you, but it is one of his short story collections too. And I believe they're talking about making it a movie. And I also think Tobin Bell was in talks to be in it, if I'm not mistaken. So, short story written by Stephen King, first published in a self-titled 1989 coffee table book, this here, later included in the 1993 collection Nightmares and Dreamscapes. I was hoping this would tell me some of the details of how it was released, because there was two versions, this one and then an insane I'll never have it in my hands version. I believe it was autographed and had like a countdown clock on it, but there we go. My Pretty Pony. This, like I said, I had never seen it in person, so having this in my collection makes me extremely happy. But obviously it's a strange, since it's that coffee table style, it is a strange one to have on hand. And I pretty much just keep it on a shelf and don't touch it. So what does that lead us to? Going back to Cycle of the Werewolf. This is the original release with that original cover art to it. If you scroll through the pages here, you'll notice that it does have more art inside. But it is a werewolf story by Stephen King. You know, what more can you possibly dream of? It is a great story. It is set up based on calendar months. So we have the months of the calendar. This version of it is released in 1985. This is the first the first edition, first printing. You'll notice the 1, 2, 3, 4 down there. That tells you that it's a first edition. Which leads us to what I received today. Now, I will be honest, I'm kind of nervous about opening this because when I heard the mail come, I ran upstairs to see what I got without checking my camera first. And the mail carrier was the next house over and was like, sorry, I just couldn't get up on your porch because my porch is an icy mess. I'm trying to keep up with it, but whatever. So I watched the video of her delivering it, and from the bottom of the porch, she just wings it. But it looks like I owe the person who sent it to me some good feedback on the old eBay because they shipped this to survive. So let's get this cracked on open here. Damn. Alright, so I'm terrible at going back to eBay and rating people, but I have got to remember to do so. Unless I get in here and there's nothing in here to be had. But this is insane. Layer, well, I guess that would technically be layer 2 because of the envelope. I was scrolling through yesterday, just for some talking points while I'm cutting this open. I was scrolling through Facebook yesterday in a Stephen King group and someone was attempting to sell a signed copy of Stephen King's Billy Summers with a JSA certification. And he was getting ripped apart by people. Like, they were telling him how stupid he was for selling it for the price. It was $900, which I think is a very fair price, especially with JSA. They were telling him the JSA sticker is worthless, that having that on the book ruins the value of the autograph. My mind was blown because that's the complete opposite of anything I've ever thought, heard, or would think of. The JSA sticker on that is golden. Oh my gosh, dude. And obviously, since these are books, I don't want to cut into it and risk hurting my purchase. Huh. Okay, so we found them. So, like I said, it was part of a bundle. So we have Cycle of the Werewolf. Flip open here. First signet printing, April 1985, first edition. So now I have 2 first editions. I will say this one looks to be in better shape than the one I already have, to an extent. This one was my parents' copy. They are huge Stephen King fans as well. So, obviously, near and dear to my heart because it came from them. Now, the reason for this eBay purchase, the reason for this video, is to talk about this version that I had never seen before. Silver Bullet was the movie version of Stephen King's amazing Cycle of the Werewolf. It starred our good friend Gary Busey as an uncle who is doing his best to take care of his nephew, but he's a bit of a drinker, so the family isn't exactly thrilled about him. Gary Busey, Corey Haim's in it. He plays the little boy. Megan follows. Stephen King makes an appearance in there. But it is a great movie. They did an awesome job with the adaptation. Now, I said I would point out the slight difference in this one versus the $100 one I found. And I was very bummed when I did learn this, but at the same time, I'm stoked to have this. So down here, with those numbers, it says first printing October 1985, which is the year the movie came out, and that number 1 is missing there. So this is a second edition, or second printing. First edition, second printing. First printing, second edition, I guess is how it goes. But still, I'm very glad to have it. You'll notice that, again, it's titled Silver Bullet. It's the movie tie-in version. So what we have in here that's different, after the story, the normal story that you would see, we get this. Get this actually in camera. Silver Bullet. In 1984, Stephen King wrote, "Any dedicated moonwatcher will know that regardless of the year, I've taken a great many liberties with the lunar cycle, usually to take advantage of days, which mark certain months in our mind. To those readers who feel I didn't know any better, I assert that I did, but the temptation was simply too great to resist." So after you have the normal story, you get to jump into the screenplay. So the screenplay will break it all down as to how the movie adapted from the book. We got some pictures there. So very exciting. Marty and Jane, armed with only one silver bullet, confront the werewolf. I'm always on the lookout for different, random, and rare Stephen King pieces. So even though this wasn't the $100 version of it that I saw in the store, I'm still super stoked to have this in my collection. It is the first printing, so first edition, second wave of print. And I'm glad I have it. Like, this is going to look great on my shelf. Now I have an extra Cycle of the Werewolf first edition that I can trade, I can do something fun with, maybe give my parents theirs back. I doubt it, but maybe. So thank you for coming on this little cycle with me, this little journey through the world of Cycle of the Werewolf, Silver Bullet, and a little touch point on My Pretty Pony. I appreciate every single one of you for spending these 11 minutes with me, and I look forward to doing it again soon.